You want to talk about the worst day of my life? Picture this. You walk into your homeowners association's shared garage on a Tuesday morning, coffee in hand, no reason to expect anything unusual, and you find your $500,000 Lamborghini Huracan sitting on the concrete floor with the front end caved in, the passenger door hanging open, and skid marks on the floor that tell a story nobody in that building wants to admit to. The front end is destroyed, hood crumpled, headlights shattered, front splitter in pieces, airbags deployed, carbon fiber in fragments, harsh overhead light, devastated supercar. And the HOA president, Gerald, a 68-year-old retired insurance adjuster who has been running this neighborhood like his personal fiefdom for 11 years, is standing 6 feet away with a clipboard, looking at his shoes. That was 16 months ago. Today I'm going to tell you everything. Every lie, every threat, every backroom conversation I wasn't supposed to know about. And I'm going to tell you exactly how it ended, because it ended in a way that even I didn't fully expect.
I stood there for about 30 seconds and just didn't breathe. My brain couldn't process it. Lift 3 was still in its raised position, arms extended, with nothing on it. At 11:41 p.m., the lift arm on the driver's side releases. The car drops. You hear it in the audio. A sound like a rifle shot, then a crash, then silence. I photographed everything. The car on the floor, the lift arms still extended, the contact points that should have been holding the car, the marks on the concrete. I photographed the scheduling log on the wall. I photographed Gerald's back as he walked away, just because I wanted a timestamp placing him in that room. A few years ago, I bought into a gated townhome community in the suburbs. Nice place, quiet streets, decent neighbors, and, crucially, a shared underground parking garage that was climate controlled and had 4 hydraulic lifts installed by the previous management company. Those lifts are the whole reason I bought in this community. I use the lifts occasionally, always signed out the garage time through the HOA scheduling system, always cleaned up after myself. No complaints, no issues. My wife Denise, she wasn't totally sold on the place at first. She's smarter than me about people, I'll say that. She met Gerald at the open house and said, and I quote, "That man is going to be a problem for you." Then Gerald got re-elected as HOA president for his 4th consecutive term, running unopposed because nobody else wanted the job, and something changed. So I filed the paperwork for my vehicles, got them approved, and moved on. What I didn't know, and what I should have found out sooner, was that Gerald had quietly started using those lifts himself. Cash jobs, completely unauthorized, using HOA equipment that the entire community co-owned. The Huracan came into my life about 8 months after I moved in. It was a client car, a 2019 Lamborghini Huracan Evo, Verde Mantis Green, ceramic-coated, full carbon fiber package. I set the contact points carefully, checked the locks twice, and left it up at about 18 inches. Low and stable, the way I always do for storage. Checked on it Saturday. Everything was fine. Sunday morning, everything was fine. I called Denise immediately. She told me to stop talking to Gerald, call my insurance, call my lawyer, and document everything before I touched anything. She was right on every count. Phil didn't want to get involved at first, but he told me what he saw. He said, "Yeah, I heard the lift machinery running when I let my dog out around 10. I looked out the window, and the light was on in there. At 10:07 p.m. on Monday night, the garage door opens. A figure enters. He goes to lift 3.
He walks around the car. He does something the footage isn't clear enough to show exactly what, near the driver's side lift arm. When Patricia got that footage, she called me and said simply, "We have it." The footage is not ambiguous. I went to Gerald directly. I knocked on his door. "You have an obligation not to defame me." Gerald called an emergency board meeting and presented a motion to have the HOA indemnify him. Linda said, "Gerald, were you authorized to enter the garage and interact with that lift?" Then Ryan did some digging on his own. He printed out the documentation and slid it under my door with a sticky note that just said, "Thought this might be useful." The turning point came at mediation. Walter said, "Are you a certified lift technician?" Gerald said no. Walter held up one hand without looking at him. Gerald said, "I was trying to help." After that, the mediation moved quickly in one direction. Within about 2 weeks, a petition started circulating to call a special meeting to remove Gerald from the HOA board. Gerald sent a letter to all HOA residents stating that a vehicle storage incident had occurred. Gerald's wife came to my door one evening. She said, "Marcus, Gerald didn't mean for this to happen. My commercial insurance company sent an assessor within 24 hours. The damage was catastrophic. The assessor used the word totaled within the first 10 minutes. An expert analysis from a certified lift mechanic concluded that the movement Gerald made to the lift arm was consistent with deliberately disengaging the safety lock. We sent back a counter, full replacement value, plus legal fees, plus formal public acknowledgement of responsibility. My client was furious, as you'd expect, but he needed the situation resolved, and resolved correctly. 4 days before the scheduled HOA special meeting, Gerald called me directly. He said, "I was trying to adjust it. I made a mistake." 2 days later, his attorney sent a new offer. Full replacement value, $520,000, covered between the homeowners policy and Gerald's personal contribution, full legal fees. Gerald resigned from the HOA board on a Thursday. The letter went out to all 42 units that same day. At the next HOA meeting, Linda was elected interim HOA president by a vote of 9-0. Then one morning, I was taking out my recycling, and he was getting his mail. We looked at each other. He gave me a nod. I gave him a nod back. Denise, by the way, had the last word. She said, "I told you that man was going to be a problem. If you're watching this and you're dealing with an HOA that's overstepping, document everything from day one. Every email, every log, every conversation. You never know when that paper trail is going to be the difference between getting justice and getting steamrolled. And hey, if you were in my position, what would you have done?"